pays Jauan Jennings if he's the one that's out there. All right. So again, Jauan Jennings and the 49ers reached an agreement to incentivize Jauan Jennings for play time. And so that could mean snap counts. It could mean statistics. So it could be both. So again, could be statistics, could be play time. I would think it'd be a combination of both, but his snap count really did go up last year. So they really want to make sure that he is contributing the same amount to pay him more money. They're paying so many players so much money with huge contracts for Brock Purdy, for Fred Warner, for George Kittle. Yeah, let's see. It was on the field not being in a playoff hunt. And yeah, I mean, he does. Jauan Jennings, 100% effort when he's on the field, although he could have hit 1,000 yards, but, he got into it with somebody on the other team. So, it is what it is. That's Jauan Jennings. But it is good to see that there's a compromise. And now everything is set. There is no drama. Everything is set. And we can all head into week 1 with contracts and money and everything resolved. So it appears everybody's happy. And we kind of saw that on Monday when he returned to practice. He was hugging Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch and all the hugs in the huddle. Everybody welcomed him back. So, I mean, it's all a good thing. Let's see what else we have. I hope snap count is clearly determined, but I don't think Kyle Shanahan is a guy who's going to limit Jauan Jennings' snap count because he knows he's going to make more money. Kyle Shanahan said today, I want guys to make more money. I want guys to be able to get paid. It's not something he's limiting players on. So it's something that he wants guys to do. He wants them to get paid. I can pull up the quote for you guys if you'd like. But honestly, it's not about, yes, of course, he wants to not spend frivolously, but he wants guys to get paid. He knows how hard it is to, to play football. And he was asked today, so he was limited at practice day, and Kyle Shanahan said he's limited, but yeah, he looked good on Monday, getting back into it, having all that time off. We've got to ease him in and stuff, so we'll see how this week goes. That's why he'll be limited today, but he's healthy enough to play football, and hopefully that continues. Did he get a final MRI? Yes. So are you expecting him to play on Sunday? Yes. So today at practice, it was Yetur Gross-Matos not practicing again, like I said earlier. I don't think he's active for the game because maybe he's healthy enough for 9 or 10 snaps. Maybe he's healthy enough for 20. I think that's probably what they would need from him, about 20-ish snaps. If he's not healthy enough for 20-ish snaps, then maybe they just keep him to the side to make sure he gets healthy and they keep him safe. Jordan Watkins is not going to be active. Jauan Jennings will. Dominic Puni will play. He was limited today. Again, they're just being careful with him. Jordan James, finger, he was out there practicing, but he was limited. I don't think he's active. The 49ers have Christian McCaffrey, Brian Robinson, Isaac Arendos. I think they'll go with 3 running backs headed into the game on Sunday. So let's see. Okay, so we asked him today if there's a resolution. So now there is. He said, Kyle Shanahan said, it's the business side. He said, he understands. He said, I think I said at the beginning of training camp how badly myself and everyone in this building wants Jauan back in the long term. We want Colton McKivitz back. Those are 2 guys we really hope to keep here, but they're both going into their contract year and nothing's ever final. We'll see how it plays out. There's a business to both sides, but it's something I think both sides would love to get worked out, just don't know if we can. So Colton McKivitz isn't the guy. He's in a contract year. Offensive linemen that leave the 49ers generally make $15 to $20 million a year. Colton McKivitz is not making anywhere near that right now. So I just, those are 2 guys that are going to want to get paid. So at least Jauan Jennings, a little bit of incentive there. He can now make a little bit more money as long as he plays more. And again, I don't think Kyle Shanahan would do anything where like, oh, I'm going to limit Jauan Jennings so he doesn't make money. No, of course, he's going to do what he needs to do to win a game. So I think that's the priority. Winning games is always a priority. They gave him a little incentive. So if he plays, and I think Adam Schefter said playtime incentives. So to me, that says snap counts. So how healthy is he the first game? I don't know how often he's going to be out there, but they do need him in these first 3 games until Demarcus Robinson comes back, until Jacob Cowing comes back, until Brandon Ayuk comes back. That's 3 wide receivers. Jacob Cowing had a really good camp until he had that hamstring setback. So he's a guy that was looking like he was going to be a starter. He was going to make some plays, just wasn't able to do that with everything that happened with his hamstring. So, yeah, it's 3 receivers that they're missing, but I honestly think, yes, they want the right receivers out there. But when you look at the rest of the offense, I think there's not much to be worried about. You've got George Kittle who catches passes, and he's going to catch more passes because Luke Farrell is going to be on the other side blocking. I expect to see 2 tight end sets quite a bit. You also have Christian McCaffrey out there, who is a receiving running back. He can catch passes on those choice routes. He can catch passes on the check downs. You have Kyle Juszczyk out there. And Ricky Pearsall has been a really great wide receiver for Brock Purdy during camp. I mean, he's been the top receiver. So even when everybody else has been out there healthy, Ricky Pearsall is the one who stood out. So, I mean, he and Brock Purdy are just on the same wavelength right now, and it's great for the offense, and we're going to see it on Sunday. So yes, we asked Fred Warner today what he thinks about Sam Darnold. And, a part of it is like keeping those mid-range plays. First of all, stopping the run, but also making sure that those mid-range plays in the soft spot, because I think Deommodore Lenoir and Ronaldo Green are really good at their jobs. But it's the soft Upton Stout, newer guy. He's going to play in that nickel position. Upton Stout is newer. He could feel the need to attack that area of the field. Fred Warner is great in coverage. D. Winters is getting better in coverage. But if Sam Darnold, who knows them like the back of his hand, wants to exploit them, it could be against the nickel cornerback and against the linebacker that is not named Fred Warner. So if Jauan Jennings has a great year, will they be able to apply a franchise tag? I mean, they could. I don't know that they do that because the franchise tag for the wide receivers is huge. Generally, players don't like to play on that. And I don't think that he would want to have another 1-year contract, basically. So franchise tag is a 1-year deal. It's a huge deal, a lot of money, but it is only 1 year. I would think this is a Jauan Jennings. He's not getting any younger. It is his chance to get a multi-year contract, the big deal. He is 28 years old. He's not getting any younger, and 28 is young to me, but in the NFL, it is older. Once you're on the other side, once you get to 30, it's tough to make a big contract. So the good thing is that he has stayed healthy. He has a great attitude. He goes out there and is aggressive on the field. I mean, his play stands for itself. It speaks for itself. So Jauan Jennings should be able to make a good amount of money in a multi-year contract, and I think that's what he's going for. So as much as he would make a lot of money, more money than he's made in any other season if he was franchise tagged by the Niners, it's not what he wants. He wants a multi-year deal. Do you think the 49ers would franchise tag him in order to trade him out of season? Potentially. That is a possibility. But I just think that the way the 49ers are built right now, it also depends on how Brandon Ayuk pans out this season. If Brandon Ayuk comes back from his ACL and lights it up the second half of the season, maybe they just kept Brandon Ayuk and Ricky Pearsall and Demarcus Robinson for 2 years. Jacob Cowing's going to come back. So, things are going to look a lot different at the end of the year, especially in this wide receivers room than they look right now. I mean, the wide receivers room is light right now just because of all the different things going on. It is obviously Demarcus Robinson, Brandon Ayuk, Jacob Cowing, Jauan Jennings being limited. So all these different factors are affecting the wide receiver room right now. So at the end of the season, Is Brandon Ayuk looking like himself? If he is, then that changes a lot. Is Jacob Cowing back from his hamstring injury looking like wide receiver 2.0, 2A, 2B? It's hard to say. A lot of things can change between now and the end of the season, especially in this wide receivers room. So, again, if you're just joining me, Jauan Jennings and the 49ers agreed to an arrangement to incentivize him. I think it's play based, so it's probably snap counts. I would think they probably put some benchmarks in there for some statistics, like if he reaches, and usually the snap counts are like if you play 50% of the snaps, you get this much. If you play 70% of the snaps, you get this much, et cetera, et cetera. So there'll be benchmarks. I would think there's also benchmarks for how many receiving yards he has, how many receptions, generally not touchdowns, but just, receiving receptions and maybe yards. I would think they would put those in there as well, just to incentivize him more. But really, Jauan Jennings' incentive is to play for his next contract. So he is playing for his future. This is a contract year. He's going to go out and do as much as he can to set himself up for a great 2026 contract. And this is kind of what we've been talking about since this whole thing kind of started bubbling up, is that if he held in longer, it just looks worse for him in his contract year. So he had incentive to get it done. The Niners had incentive to get it done to get him on the field, but also Jauan Jennings needed to get it done so he can have statistics to prove that he is healthy, that he can stay healthy for a whole season and participate in a bunch of different, all the snap counts that he is looking to hit the benchmarks. So I think it's, both of them. I do think it's a win-win for both sides. Do you think it's let's see. Does Jauan Jennings play more conservative to stay healthy and get the incentives, or does he? I don't think Jauan Jennings knows how to not play 100%. So I think he's going to play hard no matter what. And I would think that most players are like that. There obviously are some that are going to try and be careful, but you know what happens when you try to be careful? You just get hurt more. For those of you that don't know, I was a professional wrestler for some time. Yes, we're going to get a professional wrestler reference here. When we would go 3/4 speed or, try to be careful, that's when we got hurt. So I think for players as well, yes, you get hurt at full speed, but if you're trying to be careful and you're modifying what you would normally do in your body ergonomics, it makes it easier to get hurt. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think he's just going to play how he normally plays. Do you think Jennings over Pilser? I think Pearsall over Jennings for now. So if you're fantasy drafting, I have crazy hair right now. It's humid. If I was to draft fantasy, I would take Pearsall over Jennings right now because Ricky Pearsall has had so much more time and experience with Brock Purdy on the field since training camp. Yes, he missed some time with the hamstring, but Ricky Pearsall has looked like wide receiver 1. He just has during training camp, and I think that's going to continue onto the field once week 1 starts. Any other questions, y'all? Did I miss some? Let me see. Hello, Sabrina. Let's see. Do I think it's looking at comments? Post some questions if you have any. This is the healthiest the 49ers have been. I think it's crazy. Only 2 players on the active 55 did not practice today. It's Yetur Gross-Matos and Jordan Watkins. It's crazy. I think this is the best thing that could have happened. Put some pressure on Ayuk to have a good season when he returns. I mean, there's always pressure. Brandon Ayuk, one of those things about getting a huge contract is to prove that you're worth it. And even guys like Nick Bosa said they felt the pressure. And I'm sure Brandon Ayuk, after sitting out for so many weeks until week 1, it took him a while to look like himself, right? He hadn't been on the field with Brock Purdy, and he went out there and, didn't have great games until he had a lot of games with Brock Purdy. And it wasn't until he started looking good, right when he started to look good, that's when he got injured. So I think it's important for guys to get on the field uh, with everybody they're going to play around. And that means, Jauan Jennings getting on the same page. And yes, he's a veteran. So is Brandon Ayuk. The more guys sit out during training camp, the harder it is to get up to speed. It just takes them a little while. They will get there. I have no doubt that Jauan Jennings and Brandon Ayuk will get back to being who they have been in the past. It just takes a little while for them to get up to it because they weren't on the field together. I mean, it's like riding a bike, but just like you and me, if we don't do something for 5 or 6 weeks, it takes a little while to get back into the swing of things, right? Um, yes, I do think it was a win-win for all. Do I think this is Jauan Jennings last year as a 49er? I mean, I know they love him, but I also know that they've drafted wide receivers to be for their future, right? So they drafted Jordan Watkins to be a guy to not necessarily be Jauan Jennings, but to add to their wide receivers room for the future. So if he's kind of similar to Jordan Watkins is similar to Sky Moore, which is why they got him. With Jordan Watkins being out, he's a returner, but I think he's also similar to Ricky Pearsall. So, Ricky Pearsall, this is his second year. He's going to go into his third, then he's going to want another contract as well. So the 49ers draft, I guess, philosophy is to draft early. So getting a guy like Jordan Watkins on the roster to make sure he's there for when, next year when maybe someone else is gone, maybe Jauan Jennings is gone. And so now he steps up. That's what a front office has to do to keep their roster going. It should be never rebuilding necessarily, but reloading. Last year, it seemed like BA was crumbling under the new contract pressure. I mean, Nick Bosa had issues under contract pressure. I think that's all of them. But I think really for Brandon Ayuk, it was the fact that he wasn't on the field for so long, holding in. Not sure if you talked about the Seattle game already. Do you think Seattle's a winner or tough loss? I think it's a tough place to play. I've been to Seattle quite a bit. And it is just, it's loud. I do think there's going to be a lot of 49ers faithful there. I love games in Seattle. It's fun up there. It has been hot, but it is cooling down, which is nice. So, I love it up there. But for rookies and Michael Williams, it'll be his first time. I don't think Michael Williams will be affected as much. He comes from a big school. He played in adverse environments before. But I think it's really important that Dominic Pooney plays because Connor Colby, granted, he's a really well-trained offensive lineman from Iowa, and Iowa guys tend to be well coached. For a rookie to go into a place like Seattle and, it's your first NFL game and it is a really loud environment, I think that can be tough. So I think it's really important that Dominic Pooney plays. Connor Colby's going to be a great offensive lineman, but it's tough on a rookie to start in that type of place. Thoughts on who trained the hardest during the offseason? I think they all do. I think Fred Warner looks bigger. Nick Bosa always looks big. I think D Winters really came back and looks the part. Curtis Robinson looks way bigger. He went through the ACL injury last year. It looked like he was going to do well and then had the ACL injury. So upper body looks way bigger because he could work out upper body, couldn't work out his lower body. But I think the fact that Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall went to work with Brock Purdy in Florida, I think that was great. I think also Brock Purdy working out with George Kittle in Nashville was also a huge deal. I think George Kittle is the healthiest he's ever been. That's what he's been saying. So many different off seasons. He has had procedures, things done so he can make it to play, and he's be broken and battered by the end of the season, but he still plays on because he's absolutely insane in a good way. So I think George Kittle is in a really good place right now, which is why I think, you don't worry so much about the wide receiver position because George Kittle becomes an auxiliary wide receiver. He, he's been on the same page as Brock Purdy for a long time. He looks great in practice. And so, he's a guy that turns it on once week one hits. And I think George Kittle is going to kind of make up for the wide receivers not being as quite as full. How the defensive ends look this season. I mean, Michael Williams didn't play at all during the preseason, so we haven't gotten a real look at him. But he looks good. Nick Bosa has really enjoyed mentoring him. So I think it's, Sunday's going to be fun. It's going to be fun to see Michael Williams out there. On the depth chart, it's Nick Bosa, Michael Williams, Kalia Davis, and Jordan Elliott. Um, Alfred Collins is getting better. Nick Bosa and Jordan Mazer, their nutritionist, have been working with him to try and help him lose fat but maintain muscle, so lose weight, because I know that was his big thing. I think he probably, guys like that are that big, generally have a weight clause in their contract. So probably working on losing weight, but he also wants to not lose strength. So Nick Bosa definitely talked to him about trying to maintain his muscle mass. And again, I was asking him nerdy questions about this. He's like, well, just eat more protein and less carbohydrates and not eat late at night. And so, sometimes a lot of us have bad habits of eating late. Nick Bosa says he doesn't eat after 6 p.m. And if he does, it's protein. So, yeah, I think, the defensive end position looks good. I think Michael Williams will slide on the inside and maybe with Bryce Huff on the outside. Huff has looked really good. And him on the opposite side of Nick Bosa, maybe they go 5-man front. I think that's where they could really kind of throw things off for the opposing offenses, which will be fun to watch. Let's see. I think Purdy is having one more year. Will make him an X factor more than previous. Brock Purdy, I talked about this with Matt Maiocco on the podcast day, and check out 49ers Talk podcast because we did go through this a lot. Does Brock Purdy seems like the exact same guy? And if everything goes great and they win a lot of games, he's just going to be the same guy. But none of us will know, except for him, if things start to go south and then he's making $245 million. Does he start feeling the extra pressure to do better? I think he puts pressure on himself no matter what. I mean, when he was a rookie as the last pick in the draft and he was leading the team into the postseason, he felt enormous amounts of pressure to play well for guys like Trent Williams, for George Kittle, for Christian McCaffrey, because they deserve it. So I think that, Brock Purdy puts pressure on himself more than anyone else will, but does the weight of the contract now sit on his shoulders? I don't know. I think only he will know that. What are the chances that Kyle unveils something surprising this weekend? Will he have a new approach? I mean, it is different, right? Because Deebo Samuel's not in the team. So I think Ricky Pearsall gets maybe some end arounds or some jet sweep. Someone else is going to, maybe Sky Moore. So I think there'll be a little bit of, Kyle will be in his bag a little bit. I think he always is. I thought Bosa looked quicker this season than the past. I mean, we haven't seen Nick Bosa in a game either. He doesn't play in the preseason, so he does look great on the practice field. It's Nick Bosa's always been good, but now that he said today he's gotten Defensive Player of the Year, he got Defensive Rookie of the Year, and now he just obviously wants to play as the best that he can, but he also wants to make it to the bowl. So, yeah, Brock will be okay. I think so too. How do you think the safeties will shake out? Kyle Shanahan wouldn't tell us who the starting safeties are. It's Jason Pinnock for sure. And it's either between Jair Brown and Marquise Siegel. So, yeah, I think 85 could have a career year too. So the safeties though, Marquise Siegel has looked really good in the preseason. Jair Brown has been up and down since we've seen him. I think it was tough for him to lose Steve Wilkes because that was his guy. So his second year was challenging. It's a close race. I think that's a big competition. Kyle Shanahan said he's really loved how Jair Brown has come into this season. He's played really well. So we'll see. That first defensive snap on Sunday, we'll see who lines up there. Let's see. Bosa wants a pay raise after Mike Parsons got paid. We asked Bosa today about the pay raise, and he's like, "Hey, I just want to see it lifted up." So, Nick Bosa, who was the highest paid non-quarterback player in the NFL for quite some time, obviously now Micah Parsons is making a lot more money, but when he was being asked the question, he was like, "Yeah, I just want the ceiling to be lifted." He's like, "I felt the responsibility when it was my turn to get paid, and so, he always wants the ceiling to get higher." That's more like a group thing amongst defensive ends or amongst the position groups to get paid more. Let's see. I'll give Jordan Love MVP this year because we don't have pieces everywhere, and not, but 2026 pretty MVP. Yeah. Um, yes, Bosa is the right guy to talk to about dieting. Let's see who else. Do you do the show alone now? Okay. So yes, Matt Maiocco is going to be in the studio. He's not traveling anymore. It's so weird. I'm going to be on the road by myself with a camera guy. I love our camera guys, though. They're amazing. But Matt Maiocco is going to be pre and post game show in the studio with Carlos and Rod Brooks. So I will be on the road by myself. I'll be at Levi Stadium with Laura Britt. So Laura Britt and I will be at home games together doing pregame and potentially post game. But I will be doing that post game tunnel recap right after the game, usually right outside the locker room. So I'll be doing that this year. New role for me. It's really exciting, and it starts on Sunday. So on Sunday, new role. It'll be me in the tunnel after the game, giving you some hot takes on what I think happened or what didn't happen in the game. So I think it'll be fun. Let's see. How's Brock? Looking better. Also excited that Demo is captain. Yes, that's the new news today. My cousin's on board. Hi. What have you seen with D Winters? Has he shown he can fill the shoes of Dre Greenlaw? I don't think he's a different person than Dre Greenlaw, but he has improved quite a bit. I don't think he's quite at that level yet. Dre Greenlaw was really, really good. The Denver defense could be really good this year. And but he's getting there. And Fred Warner has given him a ton of props for being, improving this year. And I think the film he's watched, and every young player that I've talked to has said, it's the film study. It's watching the film and where they missed, and these young guys and missing angles. It's a tough one that they have to adjust to. It's a different speed. They're playing at a different speed. So I think D Winters is going to be great. They did draft Nick Martin because they like him and how much he's a hard hitter. So, that's the heir apparent to that spot next to Fred Warner. Boombox. So I asked Diomede Lenore today if there was going to be a boombox entrance. He's like, "Oh man, I don't know who's doing it." I'm like, "Trent, and obviously maybe you." He's like, "Oh, I don't know. I'm like, "But you guys are going to do it?" Yeah. We're going to do it. So from Diomede Lenore, there is going to be a boombox entrance. He doesn't know who's going to be doing it, but it's going to happen. Heard Dre Greenlaw was hurt. Is it bad or something minor? Dre Greenlaw tore his quad during the offseason, and I did report that. And a bunch of Denver people came back at me and they're like, "It's not that bad." I'm like, "Well, obviously it's bad because he's not practicing." So he was with the team when they did the joint practices. He was there on the field. I think he's getting better. I think he was close. I haven't looked at their practice reports, but I will check that out. But love Dre Greenlaw. I remember when he was a rookie, and one of the stories that he told us was that when he was at a party, so he was kind of not necessarily adopted, but kind of taken in by family. And one of the things that he did in college was prevent this gal from being roofied and taken home by somebody. So I will always have, a soft spot for Dre Greenlaw, for a guy who took care of a gal who he saw was in trouble, because there are bad people out there. Yeah. So I always have a soft spot for Dre Greenlaw, taking care of girls. Guys that are out there that are listening, take care of your girlfriends, because we need it sometimes. Sometimes we don't know. Sometimes guys are watching and we don't know. And so take care of your girlfriends. And I mean friends that are girls. Also your girlfriends that are your girlfriends as well. Let's see. So excited for Jauan Jennings. Nice. Me too. I'm excited for him. Is Marquez Valdez Scantling playing in week 1? Yes. He was moved to the active roster. Russell Gage was released, and then he was brought back to the practice squad. Yes, don't take drinks from strangers and take them with you. Don't leave them on the bar. But I've seen videos where people are really sneaky. So just be careful. Everybody be careful out there, guys and gals. MVS will play. I do think MVS will play. He kind of was right up there. It was Ricky Pearsall and Jauan Jennings had taken the first reps, and then it was MVS and Sky Moore second reps. So yeah, that's what. Let's see. Anything else here? I know Sunday's it's gonna be a lot. There's gonna be a lot of things to watch. I mean, it's a divisional game. It's Seattle. It's the debut of Michael Williams. It is the debut for Upton Stout. I think Alfred Collins will probably play some. CJ West could play some as well. Does Christian McCaffrey? How does he look? How much does Kyle Shanahan let Brian Robinson come into the game? How does D Winters look? How does the safety position pan out? Is it going to be Marquise Siegel? Is it going to be Jair Brown? On the offensive line, does Dominic Pooney still look like he did last year? How does Brock Purdy look now that he's the $245 million man? I think he's fine. George Kittle, healthiest he's ever been. Kyle Juszczyk, also still very healthy. How does he change? Trent Williams, healthy, looking like a young man again out there on the field. So how much does that change the running game? I think it's going to be fun. It's going to be a fun game. Seattle is fantastic. If you guys think I should, which rookies do I think perform the best this offseason? Upton Stout is a guy who I think is really fun to watch. Marquise Siegel, Jordan Watkins before he got injured. The defensive lineman, it's hard to say because he didn't get a whole lot of preseason reps. Alfred Collins is making his way, just getting, healthy again, getting his feet underneath him, like Robert Saleh says. Michael Williams, we didn't get to see game snaps, so I'm excited for that. Do you think the offense will have to step up and control the time of possession? I mean, always. Defense needs to get the guys off the field, and then offense needs to stay on the field. Let's see. What else we got here? What is your prediction on what our season record be? I hate those. What I will say about the season prediction is that Vegas has the 49ers at 10.5. I think that sounds about right. So win 10 or 11 games, I think, just because of, they've got the last place schedule. The schedule sets them up right. If everybody can stay healthy. And again, only 2 players on the 53 did not practice on Wednesday. I don't know that I've ever said that. That's crazy. On the initial 53. Special teams. Oh, goodness. We have not talked about Jake Moody yet. He is going to be their kicker. And I think that, we'll see what happens. If there's a bunch of bungled kicks to start, maybe they look to bring someone in. But they're going to give Jake Moody every chance he can, because I think, for one, he's a 3rd-round pick, and they don't want to look like they shouldn't have drafted a kicker in the 3rd round. But also because they kind of screwed him over last year, putting him back in the game really quickly after only 4 weeks and a high ankle sprain. I don't know. If he makes all of his kicks, he's fine. If he screws up a game winner, one game, I think he still is the kicker the next week. If he screws up 2 game winners, 2 weeks back to back, maybe they bring back Greg Joseph. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he's on a short leash. I don't know. I really think the 49ers feel bad that they threw him back out there last year after 4 weeks. Right now, Kyle Shanahan says high ankle sprain at least a month. Jake Moody had a really bad high ankle sprain, but I think he was trying to be a people pleaser and say, yes, I'm fine. I feel it, but it doesn't affect my kicks. It affected his kicks. So I think the 49ers front office feels bad. They said multiple times during this offseason that they shouldn't have let him go out there so early after only 4 weeks. They never even placed him on IR. They kept him on the roster. They should have put him on IR. I know they only have so many IRs to return. So they didn't want to waste one on him. They should have put him on ice. They should have. And they should have waited until he was much better. So I'm just concerned about that none of the starters on defense played one snap of the preseason. That's normal. Fred Warner's fine. They did play a lot in those scrimmages. So you didn't see them, but the joint practices with the Las Vegas Raiders and the joint practices with the Denver Broncos, all the defensive starters that were healthy played. I'm not worried about them. How about Sam Darnold? Can he have a revenge game? He did last year. So maybe he has another one. I don't know. Super curious to see Robinson incorporated into the offense and what. Yeah, that's something that I mentioned earlier. That is something to watch out for. How much does Kyle Shanahan take Christian McCaffrey off the field? How much does Brian Robinson get to do? Purdy and CMC coming in with that new dad energy. Yeah, Fred Warner last year as a new dad looked like a Hall of Famer. I'm gonna say it. He will be in the Hall of Fame if he keeps playing like this. But Fred Warner weeks 1 through 5, go back and watch the film. Insanity how good he was playing. I was like, holy crap, he was everywhere all the time, everywhere. And then he had the ankle injury, fracture in his ankle. And we all wondered, like, why is his play drop off? And for 4 weeks or so, we had no idea that he had a fracture in his ankle. No one wanted to say anything. He had his ankle shot up with drugs every game. Every game. He started looking like himself again at the end of the season. But those first 5 weeks of Fred Warner, holy moly, he looked amazing. So, yes, that's new dad effect for Fred Warner, but it's also being healthy. If Fred Warner plays this season like he did the first 5 weeks of last season, holy moly, offenses watch out because he will play with a vengeance. And I am super excited to see that. Super excited to see D Winters along with him. But Fred Warner was unfreaking believable at the beginning of 2024. So literally, Matt Maiocco and I would look at each other and we're like, dude, this is his Hall of Fame year. When they build a case for him to get in the Hall of Fame, those first 4 weeks, now he's got to put together a whole season like that for him to really lock in that future Hall of Fame induction. But I think Fred Warner can do it. Let's see. People are forgetting that we have an actual defensive play caller. Yeah. There's Robert Saleh too. Robert Saleh. Let's see. Yeah, Fred Warner's a baller. Yep. Robert Saleh. Now, Robert Saleh has become a really, really good defensive coordinator and head coach, obviously, too. But just don't forget, he's come a long way from the first 2 seasons when everybody wanted him fired. So super happy Robert Saleh's back. Really enjoyed talking to him. He's great. And I love that he really doesn't give a flying F right now. He is careful about what he says at the press conference, but way less careful. Like, he's much more animated and personable and more himself in front of us, because when he first started as defensive coordinator, it was very, D'Amico Ryans was like this too, very regimented, very politically correct answers. And now Robert Saleh answers. Jimmy Garoppolo was like that at the end. Don't give a F. So we're just going to answer how we feel like it. So let's see. Hope Minnie crushes it. I hope so too. I hope all the players, even the ones that have had challenges. Wouldn't you rather them play well than not if they're on your team? Moody needs a fresh start elsewhere. They've done everything to give him a fresh start. Everything is new. New long snapper, new holder, new special teams coordinator. So they've done everything except give him a new team. So this is a chance. If he doesn't make it here, he will be on another team. So hope Saleh doesn't get an itch to leave for a couple years. He does. He wants to be head coach again. So if they kill it this year, Robert Saleh might not be back next year. He does want to be head coach. But it's got to be the right situation. I think he learned his lesson going to the Jets. Like, he wants to be an organization that is solid from top to bottom, at least one of the better ones. I think when he went to the Jets, what a the show that was, but he wanted to be head coach so badly. I think that outweighed the bad organization. Gotta say, guys, Niners is a really solid organization. They take care of their players, they take care of their coaches, they pay players. There's no like, oh, whoa, what happened? I didn't mean to do that weird filter. I look weird. Anyways, what did I do? That was bizarre. I didn't mean to do that. How does that even happen? Oh, there we go. Okay. Um, that was weird. I'm like, why do I look so Asian? Let's see. Sala and Gus Bradley are preparing KJ right. Yeah, I mean, I think so too. Gino is more mobile, and I think a huge advantage. Potentially, if Salah does leave, maybe D'Amico will be available again. I think Houston really likes him. I think they do. All right. Hopefully, Sky Moore will take it to the house. Yep, potentially. They haven't had a greetings from Uganda. Oh my goodness. Hello. That is crazy. I love that. Yeah, the 49ers haven't had a kickoff returned for a touchdown in a really, really long time. Really, really long time. How do you think our offense is looking so far? Is Sebastian? Oh, yeah, I did see that. Sorry, I didn't answer this. Sebastian Valdez. I don't think he's going to play. I think he is a fan favorite. Obviously, he looks like a little mini Bosa with his legs and everything, and he is the Hulk. But outside of the bull rush, he needs to work on his technique. So they love him and they want to coach him up and make him better, but he still needs to do that. So he's not quite ready yet, but I think he's got a lot of potential. Great bull rush, wins those one-on-ones, but not quite ready for the big time yet. Curtis Robinson did enough for a roster spot. He's on the practice squad, so he's a guy that could get bumped up. We'll see what happens. Shanahan you think Shanahan wins the Super Bowl this year and then Robert Saleh ends up being our head coach? No, Shanahan's not retiring. Will Kittle be in the WWE one day? Yes, I think so. Yes, football is back. Is Alfred Collins healthy? He is. He's just not in 100% football shape yet. I still don't understand the wide receiver move with Russell Gage. Yeah, me either. Kyle Shanahan said there's no simple answers for it, but they're both there, and I think they'll both play, both MVS and Russell Gage. How does Jordan Jefferson look? Good. We haven't seen him do much. How good do you think the Seahawks defense is? I mean, good. I think the best defense, honestly, just because I don't know how the 49ers defense is going to play because there's so many young guys. I honestly think the best defense in the NFC West right now is the Rams. They've got really young defensive ends and they play really well. They're young, and I think that's why the 49ers added youth. We just don't know how they're going to play yet. Yes, Ted Ginn Jr. Oh goodness, yes. Does Bosa do Pilates and yoga? I don't know. Fred Warner does. So let's see. All right, can we make clothes for your brand? What would my t-shirts say? I did think about making t-shirts that say "No block, no rock" because that is one of the things the 49ers do say. If you don't block, you don't get the rock. As far as running backs go, let's see. How is our offense line looking so far? We haven't seen it. Trent Williams didn't play in the preseason, so but he looks healthy. Yes. Steelers tried to sign him off the practice squad, so we bought him up to the 53. Well, I mean, but he can go where he wants because he is a veteran. Need to do a guest spot on the NFL Daily with Jordan Rodriguez. I love Jordan. She's amazing. Sky Moore thoughts. I mean, I think he's going to be the returner. And I think, as he gets more time with Brock Purdy, he'll look good. Do I play fantasy football? Yes. I'm in 2 leagues. Once I tried to do 3 and it about broke me. So I do 2. And in both leagues, because I'm a USC alum, my team name is Team Trojen, Trojenn. I'm Jen with 2 N's. Yeah, I'm like, Geno Smith is in Vegas. Good. Okay. Was Barge practicing? He was practicing. Yes, I will continue to provide behind the scenes views. Yes. If you guys like those, I usually try to do an entrance video every time I get into a stadium on game day. So I usually do those live on Instagram. I might try to do it on YouTube, but also follow me on Instagram. Instagram people following me on YouTube. I do longer form videos on YouTube and I post the interviews from the players on YouTube. So if you are on Instagram and you're watching me now, also follow me on YouTube because there's different stuff over there. I try to do different content on each side. So um, let's see. Did you grow up in LA? No, I did not. I grew up in Washington State, but my whole family's from the Bay Area, and everybody is a Niners fan except for one uncle who's a Raiders fan, but we make fun of him. All right. You guys, 3 videos today. I've been on here for 45 minutes. Jauan Jennings has a deal to earn incentives. I'm going to bed. I got to go back up to San Jose tomorrow. And you all are lovely. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for interacting with me and asking questions. And we'll do this again soon. All right. Good night, everybody. And then YouTube. You guys have a great night. Talk to you later. Bye.